series Build Your Own Database with Dynamics 365. If you want to watch my videos, please subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll be happy to see you again 2 times a week. Now, before we start building our own database, we have to get some core concepts of database design. Let's have a look at that. First of all, there's one-to-one relationships. So a book has a title, or a person has a first name. So this is usually built up in fields. A one-to-many relationship is always like a book has many pages, a book has many copies, or a company that has many employees. So the one question you should always think about is, could there be more than one? And then you'll automatically get your answers to your relationships. And many-to-one relationships are basically only reversed one-to-many relationships. So the children have one mother. The wheels are on one car. And then we have the many-to-many relationships. Let's go for a library. One book has many copies, but every copy can be borrowed by many persons. So how does that look like? We have a book and we have a customer, and then we have copies of the book. A library usually has more than one copy of the same book in stock. And then we do kind of a bridge with a transactions table and connect the copy to the transactions table and the customer also. And when we do an entity relationship diagram, I usually use Crowfoot's notation. We have the entity book, which can have many copies. These 3 Crowfoots are many. Then every copy can have multiple transactions, and every customer can also have multiple transactions. So how would our library database look like? First of all, we have an author. An author could have written many books. Are there many of it? Or more than one? Every book can have multiple copies. We already had that. So are there more than one? Yes, there are. So it's a one-to-many relationship. Then we also have publishers. A publisher can also be responsible for many books, or can have published many books. And last but not least, we have our customer. And the customer has multiple transactions with multiple copies of a single book. So we add the transactions table to our database and connect both the customer and the copy to the transactions table. And let's start with Dynamics 365. Okay, now we are on our admin panel. And first of all, we have to create a solution for our library database. New solution. Give it a name. Choose a publisher or create a new one. I have already created my publisher, so I'll just choose that. If you want to have a video about publishers, please comment below and then I'll make one. Create. Open the solution by clicking on the name. And first of all, if we remember our chart, we have publishers and we have authors and we have customers. So customers and authors are in general persons. So what I'd like to do is to use the standard entities of CDS for my customers and my authors. So I import the contacts entity. And furthermore, we have publishers, which are, let's say, these are accounts, companies. So let's add those two to our existing solution. We click on Add Existing and choose Entity, Account, and if we scroll down, we can already pick the contact. There it is. Next. I'm lazy, so I do not include all components right here. Just because I find it not good in terms of usability. So you might include all components so you can edit them all right here, but I usually only have components in my solution that belong to that solution. So I do not include all components, I just add the entities blankly. Click Add, and there we are. So what we need now is we need a book entity. Click on New Entity. And we choose Book as a name. Then book name isn't quite right, it's title, which is just a beautifying thing. We can have more settings, so we want to perhaps add attachments to a book, like excerpts or something. So I'll enable the attachments. I won't do a description right now. You don't want to see me typing, but you could. I can decide if the entity is an activity entity, which it isn't. It's just if you make own activities like visit reports or something, then you choose activity entity. For everything else, it's standard entity. And who owns the record created. So I'll choose organization here because every book is owned by the whole library at that moment. Then I have some features which I can activate for collaboration. So may I send emails to the entity or enable connections? Do I want to connect books, for example? I don't think so at the moment. I go with minimal settings here because I can add those settings whenever I want. But to take away those settings, most of the time, all those with the little crosses, it's not possible. So I go with minimal settings, and that's it. Create and update settings. Do I want duplicate detection? Yeah, could come in handy. Quick create forms. Yes, I want them because it's just nice to quickly add something. So I nearly always activate them. I don't need change tracking for myself. If you want it, please activate auditing for the org or for the environment. Then we have Dynamics 365 for Outlook. We won't need books offline, so I just hit create. Yep, okay. That's it. The standard fields are being created in the background. And what we can already do is connect the book to the author, because we have said that the author can be a contact, and we already have the contact entity. So 2 ways to do that. On the entity that can be many, you can just create a field of the type lookup. So I could just do author. Yeah, let's do it like this here. Lookup. Related entity is contacts. contact. Is it required? Let's say yes, because without an author we do not have a book. Can add a description and can name my relationship. So I think book author is better than book author contact because it's just more speaking. Done. Let's save the entity. And after saving, we can hit that Relationships tab right there. So under Relationships, also that relationship is being displayed and can be edited. Let's create the next entity, copies, which is book to copies, one to many. New entity. I think name is okay right here. Just hit create. And now we do it the other way, relationships. Under relationships, I can say I want to add a relationship. Keep in mind, we're on the many side here, so we're many to one. So many copies can be related to one, book. Yeah, okay. To have a problem with the alphabet at B is embarrassing, but you don't know. So, look up field display name. Yeah, it should be book. Which book is connected to our copy? Relationship name. I just like to rename them. Right, copy of book. Done. Back to our solution. Oh. Save the entity. That's nice. We forgot, or no, not we, I forgot the publishers, so I go back into the book entity. And let's add another many-to-one relationship. Many-to-one. And the related entity is account. And I don't want the lookup field display name to be account. It should be publisher. Done. Save. Yeah, and the only thing that is missing now is our transactions. Now, let's have a look at many-to-many relationships and why I don't like them. No matter what entity we're in, when I say add a many-to-many relationship, that's really just that. It's only the relationship. You can't store your own data to it, and you need to. For the library example, you need to store the borrow date, you need to store the returning date, you need to store different data concerning this transaction. And you can't with the standard many-to-many relationship. And as you can never be 150% sure that you won't need additional data for a relationship or for those many-to-many relationships, I always go by I don't know how it's called, a middle table. So I cancel that, go back to the solution, create a new entity, which I call transaction. Create. And then I just add the relationships manually so that I can later add fields to that table that can represent our transactions table. So the transactions table is many to one to copies and many to one to customer. Let's add that. Add relationship many to one. And if you want to know how to do one to many, it's exactly the same. It's just when you're at the book, then you choose the one to many relationship, and when you're at the transaction, you choose the many to one. It depends on where you currently are. So, book. I won't fail this time. No. Okay. One book has many transactions. No, one copy. One copy has many transactions. Also here, transaction to copy or underline copy, just so that it talks to me and tells me what it's for. Yeah. What's also interesting concerning relationships is when you have relationships, you want to decide how the system should behave when you're deleting the parent record. So if I'm deleting the book, should they all copies be removed? If I delete a copy, should there be all of the transaction removed? No, I don't want that. I want a referential behavior and not a parental. Parental means if I delete the copy, then any transaction connected to the copy could be deleted. And referential means I can just remove the link. So, done. Save. And let's add it one time as a field just for practice issues. Add field, customer, data type is lookup, and this only works on the many side. So if you're on the one side, you always have to go with the relationships. If you're on the many side, you can go with both options. Related entity is also a contact, so we store authors and contacts within the same database, which isn't exactly ideal, but I think it's okay for demo purposes. And it's required, and it's done. And now, next time when we're adding fields, we're ready to do that. Save the entity. This is it for today. Not an extremely long video. Again, please subscribe, hit the bell, connect with me on LinkedIn, look at my homepage, although there's not so much to see, but I'm working on it. And yeah, leave a comment. I would be excited to see a comment. Okay, bye-bye. Have a nice weekend.